Broadcasting from the Symphony studio in Marietta, Georgia, it's time for the Technology Harmony podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. Tune in every week as we spotlight the very best minds in our industry. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Technology Harmony podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. I'm your host, the social media marketing manager here at Symphony, Katie Galley. In the first few episodes of this series, we speak with the top thought leaders in the property technology space to gain some insight into the impact COVID-19 is having on this industry and what we might do on the back end to help mitigate the damage. In the Symphony studio with us today, we have Executive Deal Lead with AT&T, Bryan Wilson. How are you doing, Bryan?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Katie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bryan, for stopping by and sharing your story in our manufactured little studio today.
Oh, happy to be here.
Awesome. So, Bryan, just to kind of get to know you a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about your professional journey and how you got the job that you have today?
Well, I've been in Fortune 500 most of my career. I graduated from college and started at GE and then moved to IBM and then Sun Microsystems, and then I wound up here at AT&T about 8 years ago. So I've been at AT&T with network integration for about 8 years, and we are now moving and transitioning NI into a new group within AT&T called Advanced Solutions.
Wow. Jumped from some big companies in your past. Got quite the resume there.
Well, I've been very fortunate, and they've been really great companies to work for, and understanding big company processes and the way big companies work. It's been really great, really awesome customers, and so it's been a blessing.
Absolutely. And so, Bryan, specifically, you said getting into network integrations then in the last couple of years with AT&T. So what exactly does that mean? What does that space entail?
Well, a lot of people might not understand or realize that AT&T is a very large system integrator, and we are very large in the government space and also in the private sector, mostly with large Fortune type companies, but also with emerging companies that are growing and forming consolidations with acquisitions, and also companies that are migrating to new technologies. AT&T steps in with their past, with their solutions, their services, and their products to help those customers.
And so being now, that's amazing too, learning, of course, the depth of AT&T. I mean, you might have, if you don't know a lot about what AT&T does, I'm certain most everybody knows that company name, but then learning about the depth of it and learning too, specifically how you're a systems integrator. And so, Bryan, specifically now, just with what's going on in the world today, and with your involvement in AT&T, I wonder in your industry specifically, what do you see as the major impacts that COVID-19 is having?
Well, being a telecom company and having a DNA with our roots being in telecommunications, we have really been fortunate to be in an area of the economy where working from home is something that we've done and we felt very comfortable with, and helping companies sort of allow employees to work from home is something that we've done for several years. So the move from analog to digital, the move from voice over IP, and now the move to telecommunications through video conferencing, it really has been a path that we have grown into with our customers-led requests, and also our business customers and our home customers. So it has really been an area where our employees have done it, and it's been easier for us to help other customers and help their businesses have gone online and worked remotely.
So it's more so, you were already kind of prepared for something, not prepared for something like this necessarily, but you're prepared for the capacity of working from home. And so now on the back end, you're able to help other companies then who are now starting to learn how to work from home?
I think so. That's a good way to phrase it. The technology has been there. It's maturing. It is becoming more mainstream. Looking how COVID has affected the education environment and schools being done remotely, teachers working remotely with students, professors working remotely with their large projects, and then managers and their team working remote. It has become almost a maturation of the technology that has been here for a while, and COVID has sort of created an environment where we've had to use the technology. For example, churches have not been meeting for several weeks, and they're having online services, and they're having telemedicine with doctors working with their patients using telemedicine and conference call and video conference. So I think the technology has been there, and the network has been very resilient and has been stretched, but successfully allowed us to use this new technology to continue doing what we need to do through this COVID situation.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, it's kind of transcending into churches and the educational sector too. So it's not obviously just in the technology space, but then you said it's kind of maturing at a more rapid rate into these other industries that might not have been exposed to this level of technological innovation before.
You're exactly right. That is it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah. And I mean, but that's amazing then too, that AT&T is able to be at the forefront of that and kind of help then in that guidance. And so then Bryan, specifically, I know you've already touched on this, different adaptations that maybe you see as needing to be made in your industry specifically, or as it kind of maybe COVID-19 continues this maturation of the technology. But what adaptations or more adaptations do you see need to be made in your industry, and more specifically as it pertains to AT&T as COVID-19 continues?
Well, I think that's a good wait to be seen situation. I guess what we will look forward to is to see how society embraces the technology and the means of communicating, and how we are just as a society going to be doing things differently going forward. The basis of our society is still interaction, and interacting in a different way may be embraced and accepted, but we still, as a community, want to do things together. And, for example, looking to see how the sports and entertainment venues are going to be different. How are we going to try to monitor the health of our citizens and our users going forward? We have customers looking at how can they put the safety of their employees and their customers in a primary, I guess, situation, so that no one is put at risk, and we keep their health and their safety, as a primary concern. So things are going to be different. Things are going to be, I guess, adjusting to a new normal, and we're waiting to see what that new normal looks like. But I'm sure that technology is going to be a big part of it. To what extent, we will find out and we'll see. But it is also allowing us to span internationally, and what we've sort of, I guess, seen recently is also the international teaming and the video conferencing of working in teams. So it's an exciting time, and it's something that we really didn't see happening as quickly as it has, but something like this pandemic has caused us to fast forward and implement things in a little different and faster pace than we may have anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, it's pretty clear in the way you're describing it. And then to how the technology has had to mature much faster, like you said. And even though it was there, it already existed. It's how it had to kind of catch up with what was going on at a really rapid pace. And so then Bryan, with that similar vein, I mean, talking about different industries outside of the technology industry, but I mean, more specifically too, looking inwardly with integrated systems and AT&T and just this technology space. Do you see something that maybe all of the players within this industry can be doing to maybe help each other out right now? Or as we start to kind of look to the future, like you said, I mean, how you can't really guess what's going to happen, of course, but is there something that maybe you see that could be we could start to be doing, or on the back end begin to help each other out as the coronavirus pandemic maybe starts to slow and we start to really be having this technology as such an integral part of our lives now?
Well, I think that is a excellent lead-in to companies working together closely and working to satisfy business and technology needs, working with customers. It's been really amazing and inspirational to see how the public-private partnerships have come together, and we've seen communities come together to assist one another, to work together, to embrace the first responders that we have with AT&T, the FirstNet initiative that is being rolled out for our first responders, the healthcare workers that are really keeping us safe in a tough environment, and to see communities and companies and even competitors work together in where we can to do things to better everyone and to get us through some of these very unknown times, and seeing how things are turning back on and coming out of a shutdown like we've had. I think it's really, really encouraging to see how it's coming together. And so with issues of change also creates opportunities. And so I'm hoping that, customers and technologists such as myself can understand that change is inevitable. We will get through this, and with technology and with communities and with people wanting to succeed together, that we can accomplish many great things going forward.
I love that. It's such an incredibly positive outlook, but then too, coming specifically, it's from a practical place too. I mean, you see it being a technologist yourself, knowing the impact these incredible technologies are having and can have. And so that's, I love that, just having that positive forward thinking. And so Bryan, for you now, thank you so much for sharing your insight today. If anybody wanted to learn more about you, learn more about AT&T, where might they connect with you?
Well, I'm on most of the social media platforms. Bryan Wilson, Bryan E. or Bryan Eric Wilson, and I'm happy to engage and reply and help anyone that might have questions or have a thoughts that I might be able to help them with. And anything I can do, I'm happy to assist.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To learn more about our guest and their company, check out the show notes for the relevant links. If you would like to learn more about us here at Symphony, of course, subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Symphony Technology Solutions, and on Instagram at Symphony Tech Solutions. Here at Symphony, our ultimate goal is to make harmonious music out of all the technological noise. And we hope today's episode helped in doing just that. See you next time.